So I work at Amazon. I'm actually part of the Ops Tech IT team, which is just like operations IT. Aside from that, I just pretty much game. I'm at home with my fiance and 4 cats, and taking care of our newborn son.
We are here today for the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch 2020 Spring Playoffs. It is going to be a spectacular day.
I'm through most of it, only does get one as the Blizzard comes out on the backside. T also going to find the Deadeye onto Specs on the high ground. Google has to press on the pedal to try and touch this point, and they're not! Oh, it comes up short. Amazon Fire Force will be able to take Volskaya Industries.
CEA to me is like an organization that pulls together a lot of these like top companies around the world. I think it's like a great team building function, and then also it's for a great cause. It's for charity.
And since two members showed up in the top lane, they're immediately going to go for the dive in the mid lane with the damage on the Pandora. They're going to be able to pick up the kill twice over for Apocalypse. Everyone else is going to be running for the hills. Nobody wants to be able to join in this fight. With the minions there, the Baron's still on everybody. This is going to be the grand finals for Team Amazon Stock Dip. They've got the money, $5,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. They have secured it for themselves with a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, so like losing to Adobe was like pretty heartbreaking. I got like the second place trophy in the mail. I'll see it like every day, and like it's like a reminder, like you have to do better. You always have to like somebody out there is better than you. Like you should always try to be the best. But like we're definitely gonna come back way stronger, way better. We don't want to drop another game during the season. We definitely don't want to lose in grand finals.
Adobe Illustrator taking this next map.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another week in the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch tournament. And we are getting ready to drag you all kicking and screaming out of the group stages and into the playoffs proper. Just one more step on that journey. And to help me in that struggle is ManofClass. ManofClass, how's it going today?
It's going great today, and of course, we're looking forward to this match because this is a relatively, I mean, on paper, this should be a really close one, Phil. It's between Epicsperience and Facebook, so that's, respectively, Epicsperience Tranquility versus Instagrav. Now, I like the puns. I'm always a fan of the puns, and both these teams have excellent pun names. I mean, we've already seen Epicsperience before. We actually casted them before. Instagrav, though, is a new team to us, so, we can know what to sort of expect from one, and then we have a question mark on the other side, and both teams are still in the run for playoffs. In fact, the one that wins today has guaranteed themselves a playoff spot, while the other still has to fight for it and kind of be sweating.
That's right. We saw when we were looking at teams last week that actually down around currently 16th place, there's a lot of people currently occupying that points range. And so the combination of last week's games and today's games is going to have a big effect on who eventually makes it through. So if you are on the losing side of this fight today, you really want to be losing by as few maps as possible. You want to take it to that 3-2 scoreline because it's likely to come down to map differential.
Yeah, very much so. And today we're going to be starting on Control, as we always do. It's going to be Busan as we load into the game. There's a lot of things we could predict. Of course, we had a few patches coming through. We won actually last week that would say changed the game drastically, but definitely was an interesting one. And there are certain heroes that we might be seeing more or less of as a result. I'm personally actually still liking if teams go with the Soldier. It's been very prevalent as a meta element. We got to remember, of course, this is not the highest tier of skill. They are players that play together a lot, so they still have that team perspective going on, but there might be some mechanical or preference choices that are being made that don't quite support what we call meta right now. Now we're starting on Sanctuary here. This is where the longer range is usually more prevalent. We might see some snipers here, but I'm expecting both these teams to be trying to brawl it out most of all.
Well, and it looks like we've kind of got something like that coming out the gates. Obviously, still 20 seconds or so before people are out of the gates. But Reinhardt, Zarya brawl, the Reinhardt Sigma brawl, a little bit weirder, but there's a lot of control available to that comp if you look at the sleep and the stun and the charge and the rock and everything that's available here for Epicsperience Tranquility. Instagrav, they're just going to get in brawl here. Like, they just want to go flat out, straight into hammer range for Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be a Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, of course, but that noisy elbow rocket matchup is going to be an interesting one. It's sort of a double barrier setup versus that Reinhardt Zarya, and on the other side you have the wall, so there is still a sort of a second barrier in there, and I'm curious what that speed boost is going to mean.
Ooh, this is going to be difficult for Cano, though, because Bathing Soap is now going to be permanently on the hunt for them, saving, well, maybe not saving the flashbang, will throw the flashbang in, fan the hammer, and do enough damage there for Leo to get in and get the kill. So that's the off-tank already down here for Instagrav. Melee combo there to take another out of the fight, and a tradey fight so far, but as Leo connects with the Fire Strike, that's going to be where the fight breaks, and Epicsperience Tranquility starting us off.
It's very normal tactic for Tracers to go after the supports or after a Widowmaker that's potentially on the other team. They will usually be sitting on that high ground in front of that rock, trying to heal their team from a relatively safe position. But of course, Tracer can just get around you, flank you from the other side, and take you out that way. Kano is now going to be swapping over to the Sombra to potentially do a similar job, but also help a bit more out of the front line. Because if you can hack that Reinhardt, that will open up so many doors.
Yeah, going to be looking to win the Reinhardt 1v1. There's already an advantage here for Leo, having Paraka with the Orb of Discord to win that matchup. And so Kano looking to equalize things here a little bit, although not exactly along the same axis. And Leo already has enough damage under their belt to actually get a Shatter ready to go. The question now is, do Epicsperience Tranquility realize that this is on the table? Sorry, do Instagram realize this is on the table? But we've already lost Penguino here. Aiden's able to find them very quickly. But again, starting to see trades here as Leo's taken down as well. Aiden's holding on to the Riptide for now. Can use this to very quickly equalize a fight. We're going to be starting off with Bathing Soap using the High Noon, but ward off by the Maywall and not able to follow up any real value with that. There's Bathing Soap down, and suddenly an angle here for Instagram to get in. Paraka down, Keldar down, Kano carving a swathe through Epicsperience Tranquility, and this has to be the cap here for Instagram.
Yeah, you really think it would be, and even that Gravitic Flux got cancelled on Noisy's side. Not a lot of ultimates that actually were able to be pulled out there on the side of Epicsperience Tranquility. This is, that might be a problem, because it's a good thing that they still have the ultimates left, even though they lost the fight, but you know, they might have been able to win it if they had just pulled the trigger a bit earlier, especially that Shatters. When you get so quickly back, you might as well just use it on cooldown almost.
Unix had to burn a lot of cooldowns there, but that's a heck of a sleep. You see Noisy taking a momentary break there. Unix did get the Blizzard off here. He was only able to find Noisy with that one, but that might be enough here. Aiden down, but able to take Penguino out with the passive there from the Junkrat as well. So actually a small opening here for Epicsperience Tranquility, and the Fire Strike for good measure means that they can pretty much just waltz onto the point here. Look now for Instagrav to start to mount a little bit of a stall to allow the rest of the team to get back into the fight. Beautiful bubble from Elbow Rocket prevents Cal going down, but there's nobody there really focusing on getting Cal back up to high health. There's the EMP, Shatter over the top, 2 on the ground, looking for the charge. Oh no! Oh, Leo just booped casually to the side into the oncoming charge of the enemy Reinhardt, and that's going to be the hold here for Instagram. Beautiful patience from them.
I've definitely been very much interested in the way they play around everything that they're holding. I mean, the Kono's Sombra has been very impactful, even though you don't see it running around all the time. It's the hacks are coming out here and there. The EMP was good, but they're just doing a whole lot of damage. They just used the EMP already on 30% of the next one. They keep a res in this backline. It's going to be way more valuable than that Tracer ever was in the first place. Like, you can see that ult charge just racking up, and it's not even a win condition at this stage. It's just Kono being around.
You can see it in the way that Epicsperience are playing here, because they are constantly moving slowly, looking to try and find Cal before the hack can come through. Oh, Riptide sneaks under the shield there, and Cal is out of the fight. There are still ultimates available here for Instagram. They can equalize this one. We're going to see the Nano Boost coming out first of all onto Elbow Rocket, who has the grab, lobs it on the floor, starts to pile on the damage, but struggling to find that last little bit of damage onto Noisy. Will eventually secure the demake, but trades their life for it. Bathing Soap with the roll in and the fan the hammer. We'll have the flip come through. Epicsperience Tranquility in charge of the point for now. Overtime ticking through, and Cal on the point on the ball and stalling. It's now down to Instagram to get back in and make good use of the stall, but the stun, the Orb of Discord, the Focus Fire, all serve to take Cal out of the fight, and it's breakdance on top of the drum dime for Penguino. We'll get the Blizzard out here from Unix, but whilst we're getting players in, and we're getting players in with our ultimates, they're not in the full 6v6 just yet. Kano's going to be the last person in here. EMP's going to come off. It actually cancelled in the middle of it here. This Transcendent's going to come out here as well, but this is done. Like, Instagram can keep throwing bodies at this, but Epicsperience Tranquility have got the point.
Yeah, it's a big switch as well from Noisy to go over to that D.Va. It provides so much more space to work with, because if D.Va can constantly, without having to reload, shoot in 360 degrees around your team, then a Sombra has a much harder time staying in that invisibility. It's one of the reasons why Sombra players in the past have sort of been complaining about why is the threshold to get out of invisibility not a little bit higher, so D.Va cannot just snipe you from across the map, because that is actually what you can do. Like, as soon as every hit registers, Sombra's invis cancels. But you know, it's one of the things that really helps you if you're against a Sombra player, that you can actually spy check, and the fact that Noisy was actually doing that on the D.Va, that's helped them out.
It's surprising that Noisy is currently not looking like they're bringing that out again, because honestly, for Instagram, Kano was kind of the difference maker there in helping get the percentage that they got. So maybe if they see this come out again, we see a swap coming in from them.
No, it's potentially the case, but for now they're running that Junkrat still on both sides this time around. In Unix versus Aiden, that's a matchup to look out for, because Aiden was doing a pretty good job on that rat before.
Oh, wow. Kano's able to get in the back and take Kelda out. Bathing Soap looking for a bit of vengeance here. Did at least see the direction that kill came from and starts to close the distance. Long range hack there, but unfortunately it's not going to stop the primary fire from the Junkrat, and a couple of those connecting will knock you out of the fight very quickly. Noisy with the rock from the high ground, the drop down to keep the fight running on through, but we've already lost 2 here from Epicsperience Tranquility, and even with the kinetic grasp, even with those overshields, it's going to be hard to make this keep on working. It's a nice dodge from Bathing Soap, but he goes a little bit too far and over the edge. Instagrav with first cap on the point, and Epicsperience Tranquility waiting for their next go.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a call for a reset or indeed just a mistake, which is why they had to reset. But at least they'll be able to get back into the fight now. The ult charge hasn't been completely out of whack. They still got some. Actually, Aiden is in front of Unix, and one good tire can obviously turn a fight instantly.
Oh, that's a big shatter. Paraka's going to go down here. 2 ults committed now from Instagram, which has guaranteed them this fight. They probably don't want to put too much more into that. And if you are Epicsperience Tranquility, when you've only got 37th, nearly 40% of the point cap for your opponent, you don't mind a reset here.
No, you definitely don't, and now you'll come back with almost a full bank of your own. Fuel on 80, only Paraka will not have it, has not been able to do as much healing with their team, because they've been peeling for the Ana, who hasn't really been with the tanks a lot of the time. So that's been a tricky part to get that up, is now trying to get there, but at least they'll have plenty of other stuff to work with. The Shatter already out in the tire on the other side.
Ooh, yeah, Unix in a nice safe spot there to pull up the tire and takes Leo out of the fight. Kind of still holding on to the EMP here, just trying to bridge that little gap there and get the EMP off. Desperately looking for the hack there onto Noisy to stop that connecting. Won't find it, but it's not been required here, because Instagram have been able to weather the storm of the gravitic flux, and they're going to keep holding on. Epicsperience Tranquility now at a point where if they don't win this next fight, we're likely going to a 3rd map on Busan.
And what a win condition they have for it as well. I mean, Kono has the EMP ready. Last time they canceled one out, but that was mostly because it was in overtime and they saw the Sombra coming from a mile away. This time they don't really have that option. Noisy does go back over to the D.Va. Immediately gets hacked by Kono, and Kono does translocate away, but they'll be back, and they have that EMP, and the sound barrier is already out.
Bathing Soap at least survived through that Death Blossom, and now it's down to the Riptire. I'm able to find one there. Unix out of the fight. Epicsperience Tranquility now have used up all of their ults, and they've got to get the rest of this done just in the neutral fight. Kano's going to lose the 1v1 via Bathing Soap, and that's going to put them at a massive advantage. It flips the point at 99-2. Instagrav still have a lot of time to flip this back, and if they win one fight, they take the map.
I would say that's kind of a misplay from them, though, because you have that Sombra, which is in a large part your win condition. Even when you run this comp with other things going on, it's such a powerful tool. And the fact that Kono just tried to hack the D.Va and then translocates out and cannot immediately EMP when that sound barrier comes out, that's a really big deal, because that just canceled out another ultimate. And the fact that it was an all-out Phil really got a win condition out. Now they already got their early kills, Phil. This fight's not even happening.
Look at the size of that anti as well. Kelda hit everyone that was still standing from Instagram, and they back away. They know that they've lost 2, and they have the anti on them, and they can't be taking that fight. But this is all good time by here from Epicsperience Tranquility.
Yeah, that's great. It's they just, you know, then they might as well stall this out until it's a 99 at this stage, because it's just going so well for them. Now you have to push them to this high ground when you're Instagram, and it's not happening because Unix keeps going down on the entry with already with Kono.
That's really fun. We actually got the shatter out there. We put 2 of Instagram on the ground, but there were no kills. The good thing here for Instagram is they will have 4, almost 5 ults. They're missing the EMP, but a good enough manual hack can win them this.
Yeah, definitely could. But Aiden does have that Riptire that always can do something, and the sound barrier is there for the sustain.
There's the grab, shatter over the top, and Leo's down. Riptire not finding anything. No, my mistake. Gets the D-Mech here. Bathing Soap with the sound barrier over the top. Pops into the back, can't find their target, now has to close the distance onto the point and try and tackle somebody here. It's a lot of damage onto a Reinhardt, but the Reinhardt themselves in and swing an elbow rocket at high charge, able to beam down Aiden here. They've not won the fight yet, have an Instagrab, but they are in a reasonable position to make it happen. Death Blossom out a long way from anybody else on the team. A big squish comes through from Leo and takes the main support off the table, and this is going to get to 99, 99, and Instagrab look like they might be starting to turn the tides. Self-destruct out, Riptide from Aiden's going to find Cal. There's no clear winner just yet in this fight, ManofClass. It's still going on as Aiden finds a quick double here. Is that going to be enough? We still have 3 members and an immortality field on the point here for Epicsperience Tranquility, and nobody wants to give this one up.
They don't want to, but they're going to. Epic actually taking
man.
this one away. Epicsperience Tranquility indeed. They may not have been running the Zenyatta for most of that, but that was a beautiful showing, and Aiden really clutching that back. I was a bit worried. Both those tanks go down, then they get the they don't get the Riptire off in time, so Aiden has to come back with that, but that Riptire gets the Reinhardt. Leo charges the Moira, and then everything kind of falls into place for them afterwards. And you could see it. Kono not being able to get one good EMP off of that entire map really jars the effectiveness of that Sombra. It's not about saying the Sombra, everything relies on her getting the EMPs off, but missing that one versus the Reaper's general damage output and pressure and the Junkrat's Riptire that Epicsperience Tranquility is running is really jarring for you. So I would hope to see if they're going to keep running this Sombra to play a little bit more around that win condition sometimes, because it's really looking like Kono is trying to play Sombra like it's a tracer that just does whatever she does while the rest of the team does something.
Yeah, it's such a team coordinated based hero that I always I shudder a little bit when I get a Sombra on my team, particularly when they're not in voice chat and you just see them EMP whatever they feel like. They want to win their 1v1, so they're going to EMP the enemy Sombra so they can't get away. It does require a lot of thought, and it requires planning, which is a thing that when you're up at Contenders, Overwatch League, Trials, whatever, like that planning is there. They know what they've got this EMP for. Down at the lower echelons of Overwatch organized play, I think some of that planning might be a little bit lacking.
Yeah, and it's not only that, right? It's also about the mechanical expertise and the game sense for the Sombra individually to do enough damage to charge those EMPs fast enough. Because getting one EMP off in an entire round of control is just not enough.
No,
you see it in a number of ultimates that other heroes get off. You kind of need to match that, or you do better. 2 EMPs are like at the bare minimum if you have a relatively quick round, but 3 is usually a standard we see in higher echelons. And casting that, we also know that even for those teams, it sometimes doesn't work out, either because the Sombra's being countered properly or because the UBs aren't charging fast enough for some reason. Like it's always a circumstantial thing, and it might very well be that in other maps it does all of a sudden work out great. But for now on this map, it was a mixed result. I think Kono had some great plays, but there was definitely a mixed result going on.
Definitely some room for improvement. We have got our next map selected. We're going to be going to Rialto next. And it's worth noting we have some substitutions coming in here for Epicsperience Tranquility. Dumpster coming in for Paraka, and I believe Sorta, Enthroned coming in as well as Sorta. This is it's a big roster here.
New tank line.
New tank line entirely.
Yeah. New tank line, new flex support, actually new main support. I say it correctly, unless they swap that up. So Epicsperience Tranquility indeed getting the new recruits in, or at least the different recruits. I don't know how new they are. Not that new. We saw them before. And yeah, we're going into Rialto. That's an interesting choice, but seeing at the playstyle that Facebook Instagram was playing, it does make sense to me.
Well, in fact, as we've been talking, Classy, there's been even more swaps. Super Moopy coming in, Aiden going out there. So as close to a full roster swap as I think we could manage.
Almost. I think we're missing 1 or 2 that we haven't seen. But Aiden was playing the Junkrat exclusively on that last map. So it's very likely that they're going for a different, especially definitely a different DPS lineup, but also very likely different support heroes, different tank heroes that we've seen before. So that's exciting to me because that also says that they're either thinking about these players who want to run on these type of maps or in these type of compositions, and they've probably scrimmed or practiced accordingly as well. I mean, we know that it's not exactly how it always goes in this tournament because everyone has to get a turn. But it does usually show some form of premeditation.
Yeah, and I was wondering, just looking at the team sheets, what we were going to be seeing coming out here from Epicsperience Tranquility, because Super Moopy is Daredevil 76, sorry, Soldier 76 / McCree. So sort of looking up for a double hit scan, but it's going to be Super Noopy actually picking up the Reaper here. So Reaper Ash, a lot of burst damage potential here.
Yeah, definitely. And because they're starting on the defense, the Ash makes a lot of sense. Can just shoot from the high ground down, throw a lot of dynamite at approaching enemies, and the Reaper can just go for extra flanking. Super Moopy could just be waiting in their spawn and wait until the supports come out, just shoot them in the back, and then Wraith form or teleport out. Because that's what they're going to opt to do. They probably want to put more pressure on this front line rather than the back line. But it's still a nice option you have in your pocket. Big difference is that Mercy. Penguino versus Keldar. It's a big, yeah, it's big that Konoha has that Mercy to damage boost them.
Yeah, this is a very difficult fight to win the 2v1, and the TNT going a little wide there, but it will actually be Kano that gets the opening pick here. Unix going down is maybe problematic, but Penguino will be there to bring the res back in, provided that Experience Tranquility give them the space here. Now, Epicsperience Tranquility are holding over in the square, but they've given over a lot of progress already, and there is a lot of damage coming their way, and they are constantly here, backpedaling away from the aggression from Cal, who is just free swinging into them, already has the shatter ready to go, and is just Theo walking them back towards spawn. The lineup for him, the shatter comes down, but some sort of boot means that didn't line up properly, and instead it's going to be Epicsperience Tranquility to start to find the picks here. They've given up the space, but it's time now to hit the trampoline and come rubber banding back into the fights.
Yeah, you can really see under how much pressure they are with that Junkrat. That shield is just going down by such a high rate. And that's how Cal as well gets to do so much extra pressure. That's how he got that shatter up first, because he can afford to do more damage because he doesn't have to use the shield as much. Now, we will see if that Junkrat pressure will continue to grow. For now, at least, we know that Bathing Soap is winning that Ash matchup, even though they don't have a Mercy, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's not a great position to be in. Luckily, Kano will be at least matching Bob ult charge in the next couple of seconds, provided that Bathing Soap isn't able to find a head hitbox. I think a lot of that damage came from Bathing Soap, and it's Keldar with the whip shot that gets the last of the red damage in over the top and takes Unix out of the fight. Here comes the Bob, and it's out from Kano first to buy a bit of space over on the right-hand side, and Epicsperience Tranquility again start to back away. We've seen them do this rubber banding before, and now their own Bob has entered the fight. Charged into the stairwell here, but buys a lot of focus and a lot of attention. It means the can close the distance and start to come through. Super Moopy overcooks that and walks into range of the sleep dart. Looks like they will have gotten out of that one.
Yeah, this will be another attack attempt that has to come out, but Kono is behind the enemy team. He's looking for Bathing Soap. This is going to be a 1v1, and Bathing Soap will not know. Misses the headshot, though. Now Bathing Soap is ready. Now it's a pure 1v1. Ah, Phil. Kano. Almost. That would have been beautiful. They wouldn't have had that one-shot anyways, because they don't have that Mercy damage boost right there, but still.
We'll see the Graviton Surge. Now the Riptire out. Gonna find Sorta here. And with the main tank taken off the table and the Graviton Surge locking everybody else up down around the payload, it's looking now good for Instagrav to start to close the distance here and round out this point A. It's been a reasonable time buy on point A for Epicsperience Tranquility, and they might get a couple seconds more. Hello. Sleep. Anti-nade and down. No recontest at all there for Epicsperience Tranquility.
No, but they did already buy a lot of time on that first point. You see that happen quite often on Rialto, that it either takes you just get it instantly, or it takes you a while. Shatter goes into the shield from Cal, but Sorta still has it, so has to be careful, but has no fear right now.
No, none at all. Just super confident Reinhardt play from Cal, but Sorta has his number on that one. Super Moop is going to be holding on to the Death Blossom here, so look out for a high ground drop down here into the soft backline of Instagram.
Oh, you got that Reinhardt down. I don't understand why Sorta isn't going forward and going for a shatter play. They could just easily clean this up, deny all the pressure, and set up on high ground. That's not what they're doing. Unix is going ridiculously low, really.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
able to throw out so much damage, but Kono will fall.
Yeah, amazed that resulted in a kill there. Unix still alive, hops up onto the high ground, looking for that final few percentage on the Rip Tire. And here we go, Super Moopy up onto the high ground. Gets a little bit of scouting there, decides it's not quite time. Actually wants to go for the TP into the back, but needs to be careful because there is, of course, Unix and the Junkrat coming up towards them. Unix spots out that rotation, throws in the mines to stop that completing. And now they know that Super Moopy is on the high ground looking for this ultimate.
At least they know he's there to deny the high ground flanks, so Kono will have a tough time going around. Uses the
no!
the bomb from behind.
Love it. Over the wall with the coach gun. And 2 on the Riptide from Unix whilst everybody was distracted. Super Moopy still has the Death Blossom, but I don't think there's enough left of Epicsperience Tranquility to make it worth throwing in that ultimate. Kano and Unix between them are picking apart what is left of Epicsperience Tranquility. Super Moopy finds 1, but look at the space. Look at what's been bought here by the push up front by Cal.
Yeah, I really want to see that Death Blossom come out. As I say it, of course it does. Straight away, Super Moopy doesn't want to let them keep rolling for a little bit. 3 minutes on the clock, and this is where the card stops for the time being. So it'll be a good position to hold in as well. This first choke point in front of the third objective, the bridge, the high ground, just everything around it just feels really well to hold. It's like an icon ball, but upgraded in a lot of ways.
We are about to see a very heavy investment of ultimates here, I feel. We've got 4 for both teams, including 2 big space control ultimates available from tanks. And there it is, the big shatter, enthroned and Sorter on the ground. The Bob out from Bathing Soap to try and boost their numbers back up into the 6v6. And they have now managed to buy some space. Tao gets into the back and finds Bathing Soap. Bathing Soap's Bob is still up and doing work here for the defense. So with the heavy investment now from both teams, it is still Instagrav looking to try and push into Experience Tranquility and not finding purchase.
Yeah, and that fight really shows a trend that's been going on the entire game. It's either Cal separating himself or Epicsperience separating Cal from their team. And a lot of the times, he's one of the first players, if not the first player to fall, which opens up all the space for Epicsperience to pull fights back. Sometimes this also happens where Super Moopy just finds a kill Nakono or Unix goes down, but very often it's Cal that goes down first that opens up the window for either a recontest, just a re-engage, or anything like that Experience turns into fight wins.
Bathing Soap's got a bit of a free line there onto Juicebox, but Juicebox not to be overlooked on that one. Still seeing Tankults being held onto here for both teams, and Epicsperience Tranquility actually giving over a little bit of space. We're going for a rotation up onto the high ground here, coming in behind where Epicsperience are. No, up onto the high ground instead. This is still a very difficult rotation to make. It puts them going from a small space into a large space, which always heavily favors the defender here. Sorter's going to have the shatter ready to go, so they've also got to be careful about how and where they make this rotation. There's the grab. Going to come out from enthroned, shielding from Cows pretty hard. Shatter comes in around the side, won't find anything, but Sorter does get in, secures the pin, does the damage, swings the hammer, keeps the fight going. And now we're down below the minute mark. Cow gets raised up behind Sorter here. Doesn't have the shatter, but now has a bit of space to start to swing and takes Kelder out of the fight. Now we've got an advantage for Instagram. We've got ults aplenty here for them, and it's going to be the Bob that kicks things off, going into contest cart and add that little bit of additional pressure. And now with the nano boost on Cal, he can really start to close the distance. Coalescence will momentarily halt their progress and push them back, but Cal is unabashed. He's got the shatter and he's looking for somewhere to drop it. Into a shield is certainly one place. Grab it on Surge comes out here as well. Unix holding onto the Riptide, pulls the cord, sends it in, looking to go around the side into the back, finds the triple, both supports and then off tank. Sorter down here as well. And then the final 15 seconds of the fight. Instagrav surging towards the enemy spawn and looking to cap this out with just a handful of seconds in the bank.
Yeah, they managed to get it there. 4.3 seconds on the clock, but that was a very dominant showing in the end. They almost let Epicsperience Tranquility run away with it. They almost let them just back off, reset, and re-engage, but they had so many ultimates left. That was always going to be a great situation to be in for Instagrav, and they're showing that they're definitely a team to be contended with. Now we're going to see, of course, the attacking round now from Epicsperience Tranquility, and it's very possible that they just run completely over Instagrav and get like a 3-minute time bank. It's possible, but they still have to complete the map in the first place to keep their hopes of winning this map alive.
it has been very, very back and forth. We've seen some very good holds from Epicsperience Tranquility and some very strong pushes from Instagrav. So even 1.5 maps into this, I'm not really in a position where I want to call how this can go, because I'm getting the feeling this could, in theory, go to a map 5 if these guys keep playing the way they've been playing. If one team starts to put up a more consistent performance, that's when we're going to see that start to change. But for now, I still think this could go either way, Classy.
Yeah, it's definitely not a done and dusted experience already for Epicsperience Tranquility. Gonna be having a double sniper likely come out on attack. On defense, they're running this May again. And Unix was doing a pretty good job of that before, but I do want to see them get more value out of the walls this time around. It's not as open a map as we saw on Busan Sanctuary, but it's definitely still a place where you have to start capitalizing on them. Because if they keep separating Kel out and not actually separating Sorta from their team, then the wall is almost pointless.
Okay.
Baiting Soap, though, doesn't care about walls.
No, well, at the very least, we're going to see that res taken off the table. Bathing Soap, I think, is going to stick on the Widowmaker here, and if you can be confident of hitting just, one of those shots every 20 seconds or so, then you're in a great position. But Kayla's already out of the fight, and we are seeing Bathing Soap make a rotation here. They may be taking that far left-hand side. No, they're actually going to take this high ground position and finds Kato the second time here. It is so difficult to contest a Widowmaker because of the sheer burst damage potential.
Bathing Soap just waiting right now. Gets the other DPS out of it as well. No res ready for Penguino just yet. And Kono just immediately switches over to the Genji. He says, you know what? I'm going to get all up in your face, so those long-range shots don't matter. Do be aware, though, Bathing Soap's health did get nerfed by 25%.
True. We are playing on the live.
25% health, not percent. Health,
yeah.
not percent. Sorry.
We knew what you meant. And already not working out well here for Kano. And really, Instagram have got to find a way to shut down Bathing Soap here, because if you let them keep this performance up, they are just going to run you down. The patience on that headshot into Penguino. Struggling a little bit there with the May, but has bought just all of the space in the world for Epicsperience Tranquility to just roll this on in.
They don't care about those last few kills. I mean, they already got the point. That's all they really wanted there. They get a closer spawn. Bathing Soap under pressure here right now from Kono. Is getting really reasonably low, and it's actually not being supported by the Ana. Juicebox able to get Kono almost out of there, but Dumpster Tier helps out their Widowmaker. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but it does mean that that Widowmaker is not going to be contested in spawn, which maybe Kono would have gone for that spawn camp.
Quite possibly, but look at all the free push that we've got here for Epicsperience Tranquility, and currently not anything on the board that can really stop them coming through. They've nearly got the Blizzard, but that's still 10% away from being on board, so a couple of good right clicks still required here for that big space control ultimate to come on board. And in the meantime, Super Moopy's going to have this Riptire inside the next couple of seconds, and we've seen just how good the Riptires can be in this particular matchup. Now we're on board again with Unix, who is almost at that Blizzard, but it's going to come on too late to save Juicebox. There's the shatter coming out from Sorta. It's going to be the counter Blizzard here, and the Riptire in over the top. It's going to find Unix. Dumpster Tier finds Kato here. This is looking even for now, but Cow swings through Enthroned, and he's happy just to keep wailing away with the hammer, even as he approaches 0 HP. Elbow Rocket tracking down, lobbing in the right click, taking Kelder out of the fight, and that's where we see the hold finally mount here for Instagram.
Yeah, it's the first time they're able to win a fight here. 3 minutes 40 on the clock. Still plenty of time for Epicsperience to get through this. But the ultimates are definitely looking really good right now for the defense. Instagrav has got everything but the Blizzard online. And a Nano Blade, just a Shatter, a Graviton, maybe even the Valkyrie can all contribute to pretty big fight wins. So they could actually trickle them out 1 by 1 or 2 by 1, 2 by fight.
Well, we're looking at a combo potentially coming online shortly for Instagram, and I think Bathing Soap's going to struggle to make a lot happen here with the Widowmaker. Sound Barrier out from Kelder interrupts the damage coming through from the Graviton Surge. Kano opted not to use the Dragon Blade in that fight. I think possibly waiting here for Juicebox's Transcend Nano Boost. Won't even need that, actually. Able to find 3 without the additional juice coming through. Enthroned will get Kano, but it's a little bit too late to really turn the team fight on its head.
Yeah, and the question was, of course, whether the Nano was going to come out, yes or no. And maybe it was the plan, but they were dashing behind all these boxes in the payload. So even if they wanted to, I don't think Juicebox could ever get a good view on them in the first place. We'll now be seeing what the answer is for Bathing Soap. They go over to the McCree. McCree actually got more health and a
Yeah.
faster reload. So McCree versus Widowmaker, definitely a buff. And now versus Genji probably as well, because Genji didn't get changed. Bathing Soap probably making the wise choice there, and actually immediately finds the nade. The right click comes out. Bye-bye, Unix.
Yeah, that's already a one-man advantage, but now Keno is up in the high ground, currently contesting both enemy DPS. Not a fight he can hope to win particularly comfortably. Instead, we're going to see him maintain that high ground position, but puts Penguino at risk, and Bathing Soap capitalizes on that unforced error. Kano into the back, runs into Enthrode, who runs them over, and we are going to have to see Instagrav regroup here or get very heavily staggered into this next team fight. In fact, we're seeing Epicsperience Tranquility push here.
Yeah, anyway, it was a really good plan though, because for Instagram, because they actually had to set up that entire fight with Unix on the high ground. They're like, oh, they're gonna be wall off the Reinhardt and we win a fight easily, but Unix just got spotted out, so that entire win condition goes down. Their strategy falls apart, and they couldn't quickly think of a better backup plan. That tire didn't get much from Super Moopy, but at least bought some space. And now we see Kono go over to the Symmetra. Very interesting choice here, but in close space. And if you're trying to pressure out that Reinhardt, it's not a bad idea.
Nana boost onto Cow, has the shatter. Can afford a little bit of space here, particularly as Super Moopy has been taken out of the fight and he knows he's in a 5v6. Bathing Soap momentarily camping the high ground, doesn't need the ult charge. Looking for picks at this point. We're now down at 2 minutes 30 seconds. There is still time here for Epicsperience Tranquility to finish with a substantially better time bank. And if you do the old flash, fan the hammer combo, that's likely to result in a kill, and gets into the back with a high noon and finds Juicebox. And now Cow has to keep moving on backwards. The Graviton Surge comes out, shatter in over the top. No kills from any of this yet, but a big charge into the back from Sorta takes Elbow Rocket out of the fight, and now the momentum is back in favor of Epicsperience Tranquility.
It's funny, right? Sometimes you think like, oh, there's some big ultimate combos coming out and then no one dies to it. But there's also so many cooldowns and so many resources that have to be invested from the other team not to die to them, that often just the ults happening in the first place is going to be enough to lead to kills later. Nice Blizzard will freeze up Enthroned, but no one else.
And Enthroned was like a couple of animation frames away from getting the personal shield back online. So the Nana Boost come out, Sound Barrier as well as Sorta and Bathing Soap between them. Start to clean up the point. Bathing Soap has an angle, takes Cow out of the fight, and now it's down to Kano on the Tracer to try and stall this out that little bit longer. Should buy some time here for the rest of the team to get back onto the point and bring in reinforcements. We're over onto stall and mobility picks here for Instagram. Shatter out from Sorta, but not a lot of follow-up damage. Keldar gets the double. We got the Nano Boost coming in onto Unix, who's now picked up the Soldier, and it's Keldar with the triple, enthroned for good measure. Unix gonna go down. Elbow Rocket looking to set up the spin cycle to keep this going, doing a great job of keeping themselves alive here. Rolls into the trap, receives the anti, and the payload moves in the final few meters. But we've got nearly double the time bank here for Epic than we had for Instagrav.
55 seconds is the difference, and while that might seem like a lot on a map like Rialto, that just evaporates. That first point alone usually takes you over a minute to get to, so both teams, if they even get there, will probably do that in overtime already in the first place, and then after that it just becomes a race of distance, not of time. They can get one extra fight loss, maybe two on the side of Epicsperience Tranquility, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to have a better distance in the end, because it's about when and where on the map you lose your last fight, not about how much time you have to get there.
We could even see this going down to a literal matter of fractions of meters. We saw how good of a stall both teams had on point B, particularly getting around that sort of second corner past the bridge. It's a very, very strong holding position there. And it's like, in my mind, likely to come down to time bank for both of these teams in just that one place. How much time can you get into that last fight position with?
What we do have to consider, though, is that the first point was capped very quickly, or at least in a fairly smooth experience for Epicsperience Tranquility. Whereas, I don't know, that was not the case for Instagram. They actually took almost their full 4 minutes to get through that first checkpoint. And that's going to be, if anything, that might be the difference maker. Who can hold A better or can push A better?
This is an interesting wrinkle, though, for Instagram. Unix now coming through on the Echo. We'll have Penguino there as the pocket. Currently not playing on the high ground, I think. Maybe waiting to see what the hit scan options are here to know what range they can play at.
It's going to be a very interesting situation here. Kono on that Ash once again. Wasn't doing that great against Bathing Soap last round, but is now still going for that hit scan. An offensive hit scan sometimes has a better option.
Well, there
and
we
Kono
go.
already getting damage on the Sorta.
That's right, and there's no res available here for Epicsperience Tranquility, so they've somehow got to find a way to stall this out that little bit longer and buy time for Sorta to get back into the fight. Probably the person you least wanted to lose in this opening exchange. Unix with the flight closes the distance, brings out the focusing beam, but is struggling to track anybody down with it. And now Sorta is back in the fight, and we are about to hit overtime. There are no ults available for anybody here, nobody particularly close. Arguably Dumpster Tier and Juicebox are going to have the next ults online, and it might come down to who gets this Nano Boost online first. But Cal and Unix between them find a couple of key picks here, and the payload is now just over a meter away from getting us into point B. There's going to be no additional time on the clock, but this is a good start to get it into the next phase of the map. But they're still grinding this out. Shadow comes through, finds nothing but a big old waiting wall of shield, and Keldes able to get back in here with the sound barrier and keep them alive. Graviton Surge into Graviton Surge. Sort of finds Jukebox here. The duplicate's going to come out. It's going to allow Unix to pick up a Reinhardt, get the shatter in, finds the charge onto Sorta, and round out the team fight. The second shatter comes through, and they're back into duplicate form. But Experience are still grinding this out. Bathing Soap gets one with a high noon, and Super Moopy looks to close the distance, closing in on having a blizzard here. To pop into the icebox, will get all of that delicious ammunition back in and gets the blizzard online, lobs it onto the card, and the freeze begins. There's the kill onto Unix, there's the charge. Bathing Soap down, Cow down, and the overtime week has got to be ticking down to the lowest possible embers here as Juicebox goes down, and Epicsperience Tranquility put a halt to the payload.
Yeah, very good job to get it almost to that first checkpoint for the side of Instagrav. That's further than they got it last time with only a minute. So that's already improvement from them. Epicsperience Tranquility, though, if they do about the same job or a better job, they are still looking good for a win condition. First point isn't impossible to get, and it definitely wasn't last time around. But it's still one of those stories of, you know, can you get there? Doesn't anything change? Maybe Instagram makes great adaptations on their defense and doesn't immediately get sniped at by a Widowmaker. You know, it's all possible that they don't do the same thing. Because last time around, a lot of it did come down to just a few good shots from Bathing Soap.
It's strange to me. Maybe not strange, but it's interesting to me to see how much of this is hinged upon specific DPS choices, as well as support choices. You know, Kano, even with the support of Penguino at their back, at their beck and call, has not been enough to outplay Bathing Soap here, who has not had anywhere near as much support. You'd hate to think for Instagram what would happen if Bathing Soap was given a pocket to work with. Like, I think that would be an even scarier prospect to be going up against.
Yeah, definitely you don't want to go up against something like that. But they will start off with the Widowmaker most likely. Might switch back later. But yeah, Penguino and Kono really have their work cut out for them. That's the case, because last time around that was not an easy one. Already lining up the shots. Will they hit it? We're not on the cam obviously for it, but it doesn't matter. This time around, you see already that Kono is backed off. He's not going to take that early position. Doesn't want to take that duel, apparently. But he's got it at some point, because otherwise your supports are going to be under pressure. Kono gets that first shot, though. That's a good one.
Yeah, Bathing Soap, I think, looking to go back to... either going back to spawn or looking to take a different angle here. Still waiting on finding out what that is. Yeah, okay, we're getting the swap over onto the Ash. Trying to equalize Kano here. Kano here hasn't done a huge amount of damage in this fight so far. Only 12% ult charged up so far. So a slow engage from Epicsperience Tranquility thus far.
Yeah, of course, have to wait for the second DPS.
Yeah.
They want to go in with a DPS diff, but yeah, they have more shield pressure. We get their Junkrat of Super Moopy. Bathing Soap takes down Kono. There it is. Will the rest come out? Maybe not. The Shatter.
Big Shatter. But it's a 1-for-1 trade so far, and actually, Sorta almost got back up in time to actually keep the team fight rolling on. Unis is going to go down here. I believe Penguino still has the res available, but Enthroned is on the cart with a lot of charge and trying to keep this brawling out. Oh, I think they might have wished they'd got out of that fight a little bit earlier. May into the ice block and Enthroned still up. No, you can't damage them through the ice block. We'll see Unix now trapped in the smallest of small rooms. Dies to the right click in the melee combo. Unix down, and an advantage here for Epicsperience Tranquility. And they don't have to move it far. It's going to be an overtime cap if it comes through, but they're starting to close the distance.
Yeah, they are getting awfully closer to the end, but this is going to be one fight to decide it all. They've got the graph ready, the sound barrier,
There
the
it
mana
is.
boost. It could be all of it.
Swinging into it. Big Anti in over the top, and Bathing Soap finds the double. Whoa, interrupting the res as well. Bathing Soap with the quad in the kill feed. But at the last second, Unix gets the blizzard off. But in that time, Killer's been able to charge the sound barrier and just nullifies any impact from that. Oh, and Epicsperience Tranquility move up to match point in the series. One game closer to securing their playoff position.
Yeah, you were talking before about how you think, oh yeah, this when it comes down to the DPS matchup, but a lot of it comes down to how these teams try to play around the DPS. So Kono almost always has that support from Penguino. Like, she's a Mercy player that is definitely doing a lot of DPS pocket, and that has so much ramifications for the rest of your team, especially if you're not playing against an Ashe that also has a Mercy pocket. So Bathing Soap being able to do the same amount of work that Kono was able to do on their Ashe, if not more, whereas Kono still needs to be supported by a Mercy, that really changes how much your frontline can do. That changes how much value you get from certain support ultimates. Like, a sound barrier in a lot of people's eyes is probably going to be better than a Valkyrie in most situations. So all of that surrounding the way they want to play around their DPS, not around their tanks, not around their DPS, and that is how Epicsperience Tranquility is usually able to get more pressure out. They're winning frontline battles, and they're also still winning DPS battles.
Yeah, it's broadly rushdown versus kind of a pick comp, I guess, and I think it's sometimes easier just to make a rushdown comp work. You throw your entire team into them and buy some space for your DPS to get some work done. So we're going to be looking for adaptations here from Instagrav as we move into the next map. But whilst we wait to get that next map lined up, even, we are going to throw it to a quick break. But don't go far, because we'll be back very soon. Welcome back, everybody. We're ready to go into what could be our final match for this matchup. But as Classy was saying to me just during the break, these teams, despite this being a 2-0, look relatively well matched. And we have, of course, seen reverse sweeps in this tournament before. So not necessarily the end of the road.
Yeah, we're not talking about a black and white 2-0 here. This has definitely been a much more contested thing. We already saw it go into overtime rounds in Rialto. It was 99-99 on both rounds on Control before. So it's not one of those where you say, oh, it was just a complete stomp, complete sweep. Even if it is a 3-0, they will have given their all on the side of Instagrav. That was the thing. I was somehow thinking it was Graviton something, but it wasn't. It was Instagrav. And then Epicsperience Tranquility. I mean, they have been doing a really good job. And so far, our analysis has mostly been about, about the DPS, what's the difference there and how that trickles down to the rest of the team. But it's also worth noting that the tank lines have been just doing a lot against each other. Yeah. As aggressive as Cal's been playing, and as much as that sometimes, is due to their detriment, overall, it's been a very interesting matchup between the entire tank duo as a whole. Elbow Rocket and Noisy has been super interesting, especially since Noisy has been swapping off here and there. It was, of course, Sorda and Enthroned in the last game. They've swapped up their tank duo again to Leo and Noisy now. So all of that has been interesting to see how their different dynamic goes on between those four tanks.
I think it's actually been really fun to watch everybody that's played Reinhardt so far in this series. Yeah. So Sorta, Leo, and Cal, because they are all playing really, really confidently. Like, they're just walking in and swinging into the enemy Reinhardt a lot of the time. And I'm a sucker for confident Reinhardt play. I don't want to watch Mr. Rectangle Man backpedal into his team. I want to see him bring out the hammer and start to swing.
Yeah, and I like that sort of the solution for both of these teams to an aggressive Reinhardt. I'll just pick Junkrat.
Yeah,
just Junkrat, because then if we just sort of shield into him, then he either has to hold it up or he can't run into us because he'll just die. And it's to a degree it's a valid strategy, but it does feel kind of like a sort of a band-aid fix, right? Because it's not something we see at the higher tier of play where as soon as there's a Reinhardt being aggressive, they just play Junkrat. But then again, we also don't see a lot of Reinhardt these days, so it might also be the issue.
But it looks like we have now got our next map loaded in and ready to go. And I feel like we see this map every week, Classy. I feel like there hasn't been a week go by where we haven't been to Kingsgrove for CEA.
And it's not surprising. I mean, it's still reveled as the best map in Overwatch. And while you see me hear me say that with a little bit of a cynicism, a little bit of that eye roll, it's because we just have to cast it too many times. Like, there's so many good hybrid maps. I think the hybrid map is probably the strongest pool in the entire game. And the fact that we get to mostly see King's Row is just a shame. And again, like, I'm not disagreeing that it's a good map because it is a good map. It's just, if it's the only map you ever see, it's kind of like listening to the same song all the time, right?
I think it is, Classy. I think it's got a really soothing palette. It's low blues and oranges, and it's just a really relaxing place to be compared to the harsh.
You know what?
Barney.
When you say that now, I agree with you. I think it's just the dark mode version of every website, but then in map form. That's what it is. It's dark mode. You don't want to listen to it. Look through the white Excel sheets. You want to look at the dark mode YouTube. Let's go.
We're going to see Aiden picking up the Soldier here, which a much stronger pick than it has been in previous seasons. He's going to be taking the high ground. Noisy with a run through, gets a couple with the boosters, and then back into the safety of the Reinhardt shield. It's going to be Leo being one-man front line. For now, Unix gets caught out there as the dive continues to come through from Noisy. This guy not standing still for even a second, but I tell you who is standing still. That'll be Super Moopy, trapped in the Junkrat trap and then into the ice block. He gets out safe and secure, but no such luck there for Noisy. And one more time, we see Cow just with zero regard for their own safety, zero patience, zero chill, getting in and swinging the hammer, coming up with the shatter, ready to go, and just one man bullying his way onto the points.
Yeah, it is definitely looking like a pretty dominant start here for Instagrav, and that's kind of what we wanted to see from them. We wanted to see them come out of the gate swinging, use that to their advantage. And since there's no Junker on the other side, they didn't have to worry about Cal being under too much pressure. Good first point take, and now they have to carry on that momentum because they have the ultimates to work with.
That's right, and almost nothing. I think really we're only going to have the coalescence from Dumpster Tier to do anything with, and whilst it can be useful to take space, it's not likely to win them this team fight outright, particularly into a Nano and a Valk. Leo now needs just a couple more dinks with the hammer here to get the Shatter online. He wants to be the first one to pull it out, actually gets it in, round behind Cal, finds the kill onto Cal, and starts to close the distance. The rest of Instagrav are starting to make themselves somewhat scarce as Noisy closes the distance and gets the rundown on Elbow Rocket. And against all odds, just with that last second shatter on the Cole, Epicsperience Tranquility get the hold the choke.
Epicsperience Tranquility now on the defense. Lost the first fight, but won the second one. And now they've got a beautiful Blizzard to work with. In this tiny encroached area, that's going to be the hardest ultimate to get away from.
Will have the Riptide here from Unix, and not a lot here that can shut it down. It's going to rely on a good Helix Rocket or Fire Strike coming out from either Aiden or Leo to make that work. Self-destruct will be committed, and it's going to find Elbow Rocket, but we are currently on board with Kano getting into the back looking for an assassination, but instead gets the up of Discord and has to go on a bit of a flank to get out of that. Leo's going to die here to the Riptide, which is good value. Super Moopy trying to equalize things here with the Blizz, will secure the pick onto Unix and allows the freeze to come through, but they can't find that completion. They will get the separation, but the Zari bubble comes out and keeps Cal alive through this, and he's able to swing and work together with Rocket to find the picks. Keno finds one with a Death Blossom before Elbow Rocket takes them out of the fight, and that is going to be the hold broken, and Instagram starting to push this forward.
Yeah, the push is coming out hard right now. It's definitely a retake that they got out. The Blizzard not getting as much value as you thought it might have, and now there's still more CC ultimates left for Instagrav. Both the Graviton and that Shatter. They usually use them in tandem, but I would like to see them used separately this time.
Ideally, you don't want to layer those ults unless you absolutely have to. Ooh, big anti coalescence in over the top, and an eat there from Noisy onto Elbow Rocket's Graviton. Leo gets the Shatter in, but because Cal was nanoed, there's not enough follow-up damage to really deal with him here, and Noisy is now out of mech. Aiden's been holding on to this tactical visor for a little long time now, and he's not been able to find a use for it, and in the meantime, the burst damage and brawl potential from Instagram wins them yet another fight.
This is going to be a very fast time if they complete it straight away, and they still haven't used that Shatter. Like I said, I would like to use separately, and this is why you can just win a fight based off that graph, maybe the Nano Boost on top of it. But that Shatter is in its own right a very strong ultimate for the CC. Nice play from Noisy and Super Moopy though. Get that duo out of it, and that gives them much more space to work with.
They need to be careful though, because there is still frags happening down on the low ground. Dumpster Tier is going to fall down at this one, but the kills do favor Instagram for now, so Epicsperience Tranquility get to put the brakes on the car. I need to see Aiden take up a space where he can make this tactical visor work though.
Coming out now, they're looking for that angle. The tire, though, is going to be very, very scary in a lot of ways. Self-destruct won't do much. Not sure why that came out. Maybe just a miss.
Yeah, a bit of a weird angle. May have clipped a box and gone off an unexpected tangent. Kano takes a bit of a dink as they come through, down to 60 HP and back again. Whilst the Unix still holding on to the Riptide, might be going to set up somewhere safe to throw that in. Here it comes, into the window on the high ground. A bit of damage in onto it, won't interrupt it, but the pin is pulled a little bit too quickly, and it means there's no damage on the back of it. Aiden's now looking for anything with this tactical visor and gets nothing, but Dumpster Tier and Leo in the meantime have been able to get a couple of kills on the board. Aiden's got to go down. Elbow Rocket's got a lot of charge, but without the weight of their team behind them, they're going to have to back out and wait to go in again.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tough one to push through. I mean, they really lost the momentum they built up after that one. And these tank ultimates, I don't think Cal even used a Shatter, and Elbow Rocket's got their grab back online. They really need to start playing an aggressive style again that was working so well for them.
Dumpster Tier playing in a position where they're unlikely to get caught out by that Graviton Surge or Shatter, playing in the back of the team. Super Moopy gets the Bob online, and Kano gets brought back into the fight, and he will have that Death Blossom ready to go. Has the Nano Boost. It's going to be pulled out any second now, and the Defense Matrix and the Sleeper a little bit too slow to save Aiden and Super Moopy. The Bob does come out here and gets one in the back, but Kano is still on a tear here. Destroys the dial-up form of the Devo, wants to close the gap and throw in the melee and deal with Dumpster Tier. Kano barely surviving that one, and now Epicsperience Tranquility very much on the back foot.
Very much on the back foot indeed, but they are still able to respawn all of them. They are going to be able to recontest there. Leo's going to charge in, has the shadow ready too.
Oh, throws it in, gets the nano, only gets one of the shadow, but it will be Cal that gets caught by that, and Cal that goes down to it. Countered now by the Graviton Surge from Elbow Rocket. Cal brought back in by the Raze here as well. Kano forced to burn the Wraith Walk, will find the shot onto Aiden and take them out of the fight, even without that Wraith Walk there to help them escape, close the distance with the supports, and now pressures them out. Noisy's here on the Sigma to add a bit more control, a bit more shielding, a bit more survivability into the mix, and Super Moopy has picked up the Mei. One more last desperate time here, and he goes a little bit wide and down into the pit. And this has got to be it for Instagram. The contester coming back in from Epicsperience Tranquility, but one last Death Blossom will seal the deal with just shy of a minute on the clock.
This is going to be a tough one to beat, in honesty, but we saw Epicsperience Tranquility do it on Rialto. Can they do it here on King's Row? That's the question. Their attack is gonna, well, it's at least gonna have to complete the map. At least it doesn't have to be before overtime, because that clock didn't hit over the minute mark, meaning that you get another attempt, even if you complete it in overtime, if you're Experienced Tranquility.
As we move into the next round, given how difficult it seemed to be for Epicsperience Tranquility to mount a defense on anything other than point C, which did eventually crumble, even with a good time buy on their side, we've really got to see them try and recapture their form from the previous maps and mount just as good an offense here. They've got to start to lean into what was working for them in previous maps.
Yeah, it's oof. It is. If the reverse sweep is going to start anywhere, it's going to be here, obviously, because they have to. But it also looks like it looks the most confident and promising that Instagrav has looked so far in this series. Epicsperience did still have a pretty good defense, considering, but they definitely were on the back foot for most of this. And they even tried. They tried to switch over to different heroes to pressure it out, like a Junkrat, like some other things, but it just couldn't quite get that pressure off of them. And Kano and Unix had so much more space to work with than they had before. Cal and Elbow Rocket were playing a bit more conservative, not as completely run over aggressive as they were before. And that leads to some more space that they can make for those DPS.
Okay, this is an interesting wrinkle, and there are no hit scans on the table here for Instagrav. So, if Aiden can get some good work done here with the Pharah, this is going to be a nice way to crack this open. Has spotted out Kano in the back, and Super Moopy, with a little bit of help there from the sleep of Dumpster Tier, very quickly secures a 5v6. Almost certainly not resable here by Penguino. They're going to have to wait for that to come back the old-fashioned way. Leo gets to sleep, and now there's a wall splitting off Noisy from the rest of the team. That's going to go down now, and Elbow Rockets managed to get up to a huge amount of charge in that time. Super Moopy receives the anti-healing grenade and now has to wait out that in the Wraith form. There's a lot that gets in the way of the damage here from the Reaper, but starting to find a couple of kills. No point progress gained just yet, and Instagram even play that beautifully. They waited out and they mount the hold.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to get through, and already a minute down. Not really any progress made so far. Ultimates aren't even being charged that rapidly. I mean, Aiden on the Pharah is an interesting choice for sure, and then Kono on the Soldier on the other side has to do a lot against that. Does at least has the Mercy for the damage boost to maybe help out.
Yeah, it just feels like playing at too short a range, playing too close to the ground to really be valuable. And they are now having to deal with Kano on the Soldier, which is an additional wrinkle that they weren't really counting on. Shadow comes out first from Leah down on the low ground. The counter Shadow from Cal as well. Super Moopy gets into the back, but their target, as they line up the reticle with them, does receive the nano boost. Blizzard out from Unix here as well. It's almost certainly likely to see this fight go the way of Instagrab on the defense, and a Graviton Surge for good measure. Elbow Rocket sleeps, but Unix is able to find a couple of kills on that one. Aiden now has the barrage ready to go. Almost finds the pick there onto Elbow Rocket, but they escape out of that one. They've got a momentary window here. Now the Cow is down and out of the fight. Now the Penguino isn't in a position to make this res. There is an option here to throw in some ults and start to win this one out. Aiden's going to take a position on the left-hand side there, wait for them to contest, wait for them to come around. You can even see Noisy camp there, waiting to provide that defense matrix to keep them alive through that. And just the pressure of those two camped up there has stopped the recontest coming through. Ken is brought back with the res. Super Moopy looking to get the drop down, but there's no contest, and we're straight on into streets. Super Moopy pressured out. Nano Boost comes through onto Leo here as well, so they are not going to let this fight go anytime soon. Aiden pushes forward and finds the pick onto Penguino. They are still coming through on this one, Classy.
Yeah, this is definitely looking at good start here for Epicsperience for the rest of this map. They've got so many ultimates to work with too. Only the nano boost missing, and that could just be jarring for Instagrav. Already losing Unix. That was a big one. They had the Blizzard ready, and that cannot be stopping them now.
The balls are well and truly in the air now for Epicsperience Tranquility, and they are starting to juggle them in incredibly complex patterns. However, one's going to drop here as Leo will get caught out by the pin from Cow, and the rest of Epicsperience Tranquility back their way out of this one, but they are starting to draw resources out of Instagrav now. The Nano Boost out from Juicebox onto Cow buys a lot of space, but now that that is down and out, as soon as Noisy is awake, they can start to press back in.
Yeah, and they still only use that one ultimate. Only the self-destruct came out, and the Nano Boost is almost aligned, so it still will be 5 in the bank. Epicsperience Tranquility, they need to start using them, though. They can't hold on to them forever.
Oh. He's given away his position, so he's not going to be able to throw in the tactical visor just yet. But now that they know that he's a threat, they can start to address this. They know exactly where he's going to be rotating to. Takes the high ground on this corner, waiting for them to come round. And now it's going to be very hard for Aiden to get much done with this barrage until Kano is out of the picture. He's made the rotation back again. But it's a beautiful dive in from Noisy to interrupt almost all of that damage, but not quick enough to save Dumpster Tier. And now Kano is forced to safety dance his way back. He's done the damage, though. Aiden, Paraka, Super Moopy, all down, and a hold here for Instagrav.
It's the ultimate usage from both teams is so conservative right now. Like, it's like they don't want to fight, they don't want to engage. And I get it. Aiden, you have to watch out for that soldier. But it's been too long since the barrage came out. If you're not going to use it, if you haven't used it for this long, then it might be worth swapping off that Pharah. It's what we always say, right? Like, I get why you're on it, but you still need to be able to actually get the value out of it to be able to be sort of allowed to use it in the first place.
And of course, now that we get another flanking ultimate, but Noisy was way too quick on that one. Actually, Noisy has done such a good job of mitigating damage from these ultimates. Really, really impressed with Noisy as a player. Survives the freeze, and with a bit of help there from Super Moopy, deals with Unix. There's the barrage finally out from Aiden. Res comes through onto Dumpster Tier and also onto Cow, but a big player number advantage here for Epicsperience Tranquility, and we're seeing Instagrav backpedal, but not before it costs Noisy the use of the mech. Kano looking to take a high ground position and add a little bit of additional pressure from the high ground, maybe get a drop down with a flash should have found the hammer.
Yeah, actually quite a big misplay as well from Unix there, trying to throw that Blizzard far away. Oh, there's a nano on both Reinhardt.
It's
smack
the
off.
Double shiny Reinhardt, the Graviton Surge out as well. Self-destruct in over the top, and it finds the pick. Juicebox down, another shadow this time out from Cow, but he's not going to survive his way through that. Bought the space to get the res onto Elbow Rocket, who will now have those barriers back in play. But Penguino just hangs there in the air, all angelic as you like, and gets taken downtown by Super Moopy.
Super Moopy doing a really good job there of getting that kill. Now Leo gets to clean up on the Elbow Rocket. They're gonna at least get quite some free cart movement out of this. They have to hurry up a little bit. Only a minute until they match that time bank, and only 2 minutes before they get to overtime. You kind of want to try and complete this map in a reasonably close time bank to the other team.
The key player to watch here is Kano, because we've seen them make some rotations to put in surprise ultimates and surprise flanks previously, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. It's going to be onto Noisy to make sure this does not come off. Noisy's going to be so careful here. What? Asleep! Kano just demolished in the middle of that ultimate, and a player advantage now for Epicsperience Tranquility. We're at the 1 minute 40-second mark here, just 100 seconds left to go in the match, and only a few minutes away from Epicsperience Tranquility getting this in with a favorable time bank. Charge into charge, and Super Moopy playing at point blank range there with the Viper. Finds Juicebox, and it's time for Leo just to stand on the point and swing and be a one-man wall, stopping the rest of Instagrav coming back in. Noisy gets the pickup and takes Unix down out of the fight. We're starting to see the stalls come through. This is going to be a very, very close time bank, but it is almost certainly a cap here for Epicsperience Tranquility. Self-destruct. They make themselves scarce around the point, but Kano's going to go down here. Cal is down, and Unix a little bit too slow to tag on to the point. Instagrav now have the favorable time bank, and they are still grinding this out. And there is now 0.24 meters on the card, and Instagram are still piling in and keeping this going. They're going to have to shatter. The second Cal is back. It lands. It goes down. It puts Leo on the ground. They're still alive, and the bigger shatter comes out this time. 2 on the ground coming through from Leo, and the Valkyrie rising. Kano dead before the Riptide can come off here. And Epicsperience Tranquility are throwing everything at this team fight. Instagrav refusing to say die, continuing to pile bodies onto the point, and now the Riptide is out, but just that little too late.
Yeah, this is going to be a still hotly contested map, and honestly, I kind of feel like Epicsperience Tranquility was almost handicapping themselves by running that fire the entire time. It worked a little bit on point A. It was a very nice pincer maneuvers that were being done to counter their the fire counters, but as soon as you get through that map, you don't have that freedom to do it. Point A is relatively open, and as soon as you get to point B, you don't really have the option to deny flanks that easily. So, I mean, maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they'll run the fire again. But I really, really, really don't think that that would be a desirable idea, seeing as the map has gone so far.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. It was a bit of a wrinkle, a bit of a fly in the ointment. But it seems like for a lot of that, Instagrav just had that figured out. It wasn't the threat they thought it was going to be. Instead, it looks like we're going to see something approaching a rare matchup. I actually quite like Noisy potentially sticking on the Diva here. I thought they did a lot of work in that previous round.
Yeah, this is going to be a super, super interesting conclusion potentially to this match, but we could also see continuation. It's only map 3, and map 3 could be a draw. It could be a win for Instagrav. Wait, that's the thing though. I don't know if we're in best of 5s and first of 3 territory, so I don't know if a draw matters.
We'll talk to our TO during the fall.
It will matter. A draw will matter regardless, because a draw, even in a best of 5 for the draw on map 3, I think you get another one. Ooh. But Juicebox gets the first kill on the Paraka, and that's a really good opener, because that means it's one fight that's potentially not even taking place. Time off the clock, and point A becomes harder to cap.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a 30-second push. We've got to make something happen. You've got to find 1 or 2 very quick picks. Ideally, one of those needs to be Penguino. You can't have that res on the table if you want the quick cap here. That's the 30-second announcer coming through. And we are seeing Epicsperience Tranquility start to move in towards the point, and Leo closes the distance and takes Cow. Does Penguino have the space? No, just had the reticle up to get the res, but now they are out of the fight here. Noisy takes a lot of damage, but is able to dish out as good as they can take. There's the finisher onto Kano, and we're likely to see the cap.
Yeah, Epicsperience Tranquility, they do it. I wouldn't say against all odds, because it wasn't against all odds. They definitely played it out really well. But definitely in a more convincing fashion than the last time around. They struggled a bit more. A big part of that, Aiden's on the Junkrat. I mean, I said it before. If you don't have that, if you have that Mercy constantly having to fly with a Pharah. If you have a Pharah in the first place, it becomes a lot more tricky to cap this point if your rest of your team isn't that mobile and it requires more healing. So Paraka on the Lucio now gives again that speed boost back. Dumpster Tier are still on the Ana. The front line is a lot happier, and Aiden can just stand behind the shield and be safe.
I kind of want to see when this nano boost is going to come out. Whoever gets this out first is likely to be who wins this next team fight, because just the ability for the Reinhardt to wail away on the front lines and win out that duel is a big game changer. Sleep's not going to connect there for Dumpster Tier, and now Juicebox also has the nano boost, so we're expecting to see the Glowy Ryan Christmas tree show coming online any second now. Leo with the shatter puts them on the ground. There's the charge, and it's Twinkle Town for Leo and for Cow, but the anti-nade over the top is the source that nobody really wanted in that particular fight. And we're going to see Epicsperience Tranquility keep on pushing this through, and they're making good progress here to get us at least as far as point C.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to get back into Instagram, because even if they stop it here, it's still a pretty good distance for only a minute in your time bank. And Epicsperience Tranquility, whatever happens, they will have made a statement regardless.
Well, a lot of space being taken here by Epicsperience Tranquility. Don't blame them. They want to get this as far as they can. Make the fight happen a long way away from the point. Now Unix with a Riptire trying to weave it through in between them, but it dies. And even if it had come off, it was coming off into a sound barrier. There was no chance of that finding the value it really needed to find. Elbow Rocket's going to be able to dodge that self-destruct here, but the payload will make its way through. Now we've got the Riptire on from Aiden, and Super Moopy is being dragged away from the fight, but winning out their 1v1, a difficult 1v1 to win. The Reaper against the Tracer, and they still have the numbers, and they are still pushing through. It feels good to me for a second cap here on King's Row.
King's Row, man, it just comes back to it all the time. So many teams can just on the second run complete it in the full, just the full 3 points.
Oh,
and
man.
Aiden getting the kill on the juice box just opens it up more. The res already out, the Death Blossom's ready, to shatter its go, and the Nano Boost that has given Leo so much more space and power is on board as well.
Juicebox and Dumpster both about to make use of these ultimates, and Leo is the first to go down. There was the shatter on the table as well, and as the Graviton Surge comes through and locks Epicsperience Tranquility into place, and as that Nanoboost comes through onto Elbow Rocket, I think we've seen about the end of this push, almost all the way into C, but as Super Moopy, Noisy's mech, and Noisy themselves go down, that's going to be as far as it goes. But it means that that 1 minute 42 time bank kind of doesn't matter. That's just the time you've got to cap point A, and the rest of it is going to be frantic overtime shoving.
And we said it on Rialto already, right? Like, as soon as that time bank becomes roughly around a minute, maybe 2, that's just point A. It's just every single time you get to that point in overtime, both teams have maybe not even a minute between them. It's all about where does your payload stop and not when it stops. You know, that's because the last fight you lose, where you lose that's what makes a difference in these overtime rounds.
Oh boy, but this has been, I think we've already touched on this once, and we were talking about it in the break. If this does go to a 3-0, it's really bad advertising for how good this series has been. Like, that's not the tagline you want. You want kind of the stats to show how every single inch of this map in particular has been really heavily fought for. So I think even if Instagrav can't make this final push, they should be so happy with their performance here today.
Yeah, definitely. It's been, both teams have been showing great, of course, and even Instagram has as well. It's just Epicsperience seem to have something down on them in terms of their shot calling, in terms of how they adapt to situations. That's just working very well for them. And honestly, swapping out 2 tank combos that both perform so consistently, that's just the hallmark of a good team.
Okay, we're looking for a Symmetra rush down here on the offense. Get the TP into the back. Actually going to make the rotation through Hotel here. Where is this going? Just wants the damage, not interested in the mobility here, I don't think. No kills coming through. Yeah. Very interesting.
But they're at least being able to push into this hotel with that Symmetra in close quarters is actually a pretty good strategy. The good rotation coming out. Kano already on such high charge, beaming down the enemy team. Kyle does get taken out though, Phil. This fight might not go their way.
Oh, Leo's been able to find 2 here and just completely unperturbed by the level 3 damage of the Symmetra here. At the very least, Kano has managed to get the photon barrier up ready for the next fight, and Noisy's going to lose the mech. That's, I think, the biggest exchange here, is not having Noisy at full power ready for this next fight.
Yeah, this is going to be their last attempt, though. 40%. The wall is going to be massive. The way they play around this Symmetra wall, that's really what's going to decide how well they can do in this fight, because it can deny and enable... They'll deny the enemy team and enable yours so much in terms of space and what it does for you.
We'll see the TP come through, gets through Hotel that little bit quicker, and Unix looks to take this position up on the high ground. Wall's going to come out. And now we see a lot of damage coming through. There's a big anti there, but it's still going to be Leo that finds the first pick. Unix is brought back into the fight by Penguino, and Kano starts to find picks, but Leo deals with Kano now. There's a big anti-nade there, and the Death Blossom comes out from Super Movie. It's going to be Unix with the primary fire that wins that particular fight. Elbow Rocket at high charge, now able to deal with Unix. Dumpster tier, Noisy still on the point and going. It's got to be a big bang of a self-destruct to make this work. Will get the kill onto Penguino. Elbow Rocket still alive, and there's nothing that Noisy can do to mitigate this damage. The defense matrix will not work against the Symmetra primary fire. Paraka's able to find 1, but despite Epicsperience Tranquility throwing everything at this point defense, it's Instagram with their boots planted firmly on the point for now. At this point, if you're Epicsperience Tranquility, you want a quick reset and as much of your ult as you can get away with.
Yeah, that's definitely what you want, and it looks like that's what they're gonna get. I mean, they brought on the entire time bank. That's of course step 1, and now all they have to do is win 1 fight, Phil. one fight before that payload gets halfway through third, and that is not a tall mountain to climb in most situations.
No, not at all. Cow's given up ult charge, though. By moving over onto the Wrecking Ball to get back and keep the point contested, it means that Leo is very, very far ahead in charge here.
Very much looks like it. Unix, Kono, Elbow Rocket, Cal, Penguino, Juicebox. We've talked about this roster the entire time. They haven't swapped anybody out. Unix is now ready with a Death Blossom. I don't know if anyone has spotted them out. I think they know that the Reaper's there. Unix is going to try and back off for that reason.
Yeah,
but
he
still.
gets out of that. He knows that he can't take this fight just yet. There's the shatter. And a big charge through. Everybody down and off the point. And with a big shatter and a bigger charge, Epicsperience Tranquility knock Instagrav out of contention and secure their place in the playoffs. What a play from Leo.
And I mean, that is just, it's almost the exact thing what they want to do with their name. You Epicsperience the Tranquility of just laying on the ground after a shatter. All's looking well in the world, and then, oh no, we get pushed off the card. Beautiful play. I don't know how planned that was. We'll definitely be able to ask them in the interview, but such a beautiful play to get that out.
That's heartbreaking as well, because Instagram had some big ults ready. Like you could really see Unix looking for somewhere to stick this Death Blossom, and it's just a little bit too heavily telegraphed, a little bit too obvious, and he gets chased out. And whilst that's all going on, down comes the hammer, and out go Instagram. Heartbreaking stuff, Classy.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go to a very quick break, though, in the meantime, because we'll be back with interviews. A player from both teams, maybe even more of that, will be joining us to tell us all about not only the game, but also about the rest of their team, the charities they're supporting, and everything we might possibly want to know, except topics that we shouldn't be talking about on broadcast. But that will be fine. See you guys in a little bit.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the final portion of the show. If you've tuned in before, you will, of course, know that that is the interview portion of the show. And joining us, we have Leo from Epicsperience Tranquility and Kano from Instagrav. So, guys, welcome to the show. Congratulations, Leo. Commiserations, Kano. Leo, I want to open up with just I don't know. It's not a question. It's really more of a comment. And I have already raised this with you, but oh boy, that closing shatter was pretty big. How are you feeling after that one?
Definitely really good. I was trying to do a few of those throughout the entire game, trying to get the timing perfectly, and it timed out amazingly at the end.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
impressive.
I mean, it just worked. It just worked, right? Yeah, and because you were saying like, oh, I'm looking for the fire strike cooldown. You know, that 6 second counting down, and 6, 5, 4, 3, and obviously that's something that a lot of Reinhardt players will be familiar with. You know, saying, oh yeah, I have to wait for the fire strike because if he fire strikes, he can't block my shatter. But it's still hard to get that in because it's a tiny window. Is that something you specifically practiced for, or was it literally just in this game? You know, I just want to do it.
Yeah. I've been trying to get a bit more of this game just because of how close it is, but it's definitely something I keep in the back of my head through all the games I play.
Cool.
So, kind of obviously not quite the same level of success for you guys tonight, but I think we can all agree an incredibly closely fought series coming down to the wire in a number of places. How are you feeling on the back of this match?
We're
Connor?
pretty proud of what we did. The entire team is actually, we're all pretty proud of what we did there. We don't think there was we think it was a really hard fought fight, and they capitalized on minor mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. And Classy and I have said a couple of times through the match that 3-0 isn't a particularly good advertisement for this match because it wasn't a shutout at all. It was very, very close in a lot of places. So yeah, hopefully you guys are feeling pretty good with your performance here. So Classy, I'm gonna throw it to you for the next one.
Yeah, no, of course, because Kano, you played a fair variety of heroes. Do you consider yourself also like a very flexible player, or would you say like I'd rather play this hero, but they're just not meta right now?
I definitely consider myself really a flexible player. I like to just like analyze what the comp we're going against and kind of just play against that. Or if I'm feeling hot on a hero, I'll just stay on that hero until it becomes not viable anymore, and then I'll switch to something else and I'll listen to my team if they have any input on what I should be doing.
Sure, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And you know, Leo, obviously, you guys are now locked in playoffs. Was that like also a goal you guys had from like the start of this season or in general?
Yeah. So the past 2 seasons we've been a team, we made it to the playoffs. So it's definitely a goal to keep it rolling. And then when we saw we made it to the contenders bracket, you know, getting that second win was definitely key for us, and we're glad we could take it today after a very hard fought win.
Yeah, congratulations, of course, with that.
Yeah, and Leo, you guys have a pretty big roster. I think probably one of the biggest rosters in the bracket. How does that feature in your decision making from map to map as to who gets to stay and who gets to go? Is it about giving everybody a turn, or is it person X plays this map?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. Yeah, like you said, we have a big team because unfortunately our third team had to be absorbed at the last minute. But yeah, some maps like we know we have Dumpster who doesn't play control maps that much, so we keep him out and rotate him in. Our DPS we just cycle in to make sure everyone plays. With 4 tanks, everyone just kind of gets in when they get in. But yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Okay, well, good. It seems to be working out well for you.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, it's been very impressive how both the tank duos and just in general the duo players that come in, it kind of doesn't really skip a beat. There's a very consistent level of play and also consistency in how the team plays. On your side though, Kano, of course you ran with the same roster the entire time, so you have to have more flexibility in terms of players individually. Do you think that you would like to have some substitutes, etc., or do you really like that dynamic of we have the same players over most of our games?
Either or works. I think we're all really comfortable with each other, and we know like our play styles. And if we have some substitutes, but sometimes they just can't make it, so it's usually just us. We usually do like a little check-in like right beforehand, figure out who's going to be able to be playing, who's going to have to sit out this time, and then we just kind of go from there.
Okay,
So
makes sense. Both teams thinking about it.
So if we move away from talking about the map, the match itself, obviously you guys are both here fighting for representing specific charities. So starting with you, Connor, could you tell us a little bit about why you've picked the Trevor Project to represent today?
I believe the Trevor project was picked by one of our team captains, and we all kind of agreed on it. It's just it's an issue I'm sure that hits home with some people who people who are homosexual or trans or stuff like that and go through it. We want to be able to support those kind of people and show it does get better, and there are resources out there to help them.
Well, that's great to hear. And then I guess the same basic question. I'm aware that we have actually spoken to you previously already, Leah. But if you'd like to give us a recap as to why you've picked Doctors Without Borders, that'd be really good to hear.
Yeah, so we picked Doctor Without Borders partially because that's what both Epic teams do, and we kind of roll as a unit to try and benefit the same charity. But specifically for Doctors Without Borders, Epic is a healthcare software company. Being in that healthcare industry, and seeing what Doctors Without Borders can do, and providing that humanitarian effort in regions that don't often get it or are in conflict zones or stuff like that is something that hits a bit close to home to us. So it's definitely something we want to keep in the back of our head and definitely try and help.
Great. Well, thank you both for those informative answers.
Yeah, ask another question because of course we already have heard that answer from Epicsperience Tranquility before. But Kano, how does a team like that come together at Facebook? Do you have like a big group, or I heard like at Google they had like an entire internal sheet for everyone that wanted to play games, and they just picked players out of that. How did Instagram form?
Well, there's actually a kind of a call to action on one of our internal wiki page or our internal work chat page, and people who just wanted to play would just hit up the post, and then we would just get into a Discord, and then people O'Malley is actually the one that kind of runs the whole thing, and kind of like paired people like, okay, you're gonna go here, you're gonna go here, and then it comes from everybody. Like there's no like one department that is playing in it. I think everyone comes from like the mailroom or accounting, or I mean, personally, I come from security, so we all come from different parts of Facebook.
Good thing gaming bring people together, as we like to see.
Yeah. Always glad to see it. Yeah, obviously, Leo, as Classy said, we have actually already had this answer from you, and you even touched on it earlier today. Is there any insight you can give us as to how you've gone about folding in your third team into the roster that you currently got, or has it just been a fairly easy process?
hmm yeah, so it was fairly straightforward. It was pretty last minute as we close in on the registration deadline, but our third team had a fairly wider range of SRs, so it's pretty easy to match the SRs to both Epicsperience Tranquility and Epic boosting services, and they just fit right in. Everyone new on both teams has hit the ball running. So luckily, I put him on a team and it worked.
Great, as simple as that. Good to hear. Well, guys, I do believe we are getting very close to the end of the interview portion of the show, and therefore the show in general. But before we let you guys go back to celebrate or commiserate with your team as may be appropriate, I want to give you both the chance to shout out someone that you think deserves a bit of thanks or just a bit of recognition for what they help bring to the team. So let's start with you, Connor.
I'd have to give it to everybody. I think we all come together really well, but in specific, I would say Penguin does a really good job of kind of keeping the team together and being a team captain, as well as Cal. Elbow and Unix are really good about analyzing and just kind of just providing different input. Like we all bring something to the table, and it's just really great to see.
Well, fantastic to hear. And finally to you, Leo.
Yeah, I'll start out with the same. Everyone has done a great job in bringing what they can to the table, but I'll go into a bit more specifics. With these last few games we've had, I want to shout out mostly our support line. So Paraka, Kelder, and Dumpster for really helping to push us forward and work on some of the things we've been struggling with. So some of that shot calling, some of that group saying together as a group, they're the ones who help push that. They're the ones who are doing the communication, and it's great to see that what they push for has turned out well.
Well, great to hear. Thank you, Leo and Cano, for joining us today. It's been great to watch you play and great to hear a little bit from you after the game. But I'm afraid, everybody, that is very close to the end of the broadcast for today. All that is left to do, I think, is to ask ManofClass, do you have any words you'd like to leave the people with?
I mean, go and play more Overwatch, I guess. No, in general, I just want to make sure that everyone has a good time. Being around, stay safe out there. Of course, it's getting a bit rough everywhere around the world again, and Yeah, I mean, in general, games are a good way to, want to say, escape the drama, but at least, you have something to do when you're inside. So if you're just watching today, maybe next time, go play a game with some people. You can see how all these people come together in the CEA, just forming teams within their office. And maybe you're not competing in the CEA, but you can just as well just form a team with some of your colleagues. Just throw out an Insta Blast or whatever in your internal communications, and who knows what you might find.
Very well said. And that's going to be good night from myself and Classy, and we will catch you all next week for the start of playoffs.